Hey everyone, Charlie Morgan here and welcome to Outstanding Offer Architecture. So in this video, we're going to be constructing an offer for your business. An offer is essentially the way we are packaging the solution and your expertise. And it's the way we package what you do to basically make what you do as persuasive and compelling in a sales environment and a marketing environment as possible. And so the offer is the thing that is market facing, which means that this is what you're going to be using to attract customers. And it's really important. The offer is really the main thing. Once you're an expert at something and once you're able to solve a problem for someone that's painful, just telling them, hey, I can solve this for you, it can do some work, but it's not persuasive enough. And so what we're going to do in this video is take what you do and what you know about your market, and we're going to craft what we would call a marketing argument or a sales argument, which is basically a statement, a paragraph, a few sentences that encapsulates exactly what you do in beautiful, concise form in order to encourage people to schedule appointments with you, to buy from you, and to have confidence in your service. Now, a transaction can only occur when the customer or the prospect has conviction or confidence that you can do what you say you can do. And an offer is basically the mechanism that communicates that what you say you can do, and it's going to give people conviction. And so this is really important because without an offer, or at least a good one, your business is going to fall flat on its face. So I know at this point in the training that you're not ready to make an offer yet. You don't know even what problem you're going to solve, and I told you to continue on with the videos, and that's absolutely fine. So this video is kind of designed to watch twice. Once now, when you've just come through the first week, you've just finished niche immersion, you're only just starting to do niche research, maybe you haven't even started yet, maybe you're starting now, tomorrow, today, whatever, and you haven't got a problem, you haven't got a solution, and you don't even know what you're becoming an expert in yet, right? In order to build an offer, you need to know what problem you're solving, what the outcome of solving that problem is, how long it's going to take. You need to be an expert, right? So you can't do this yet, but what I want you to do is watch this video and understand it. Don't worry about any of the action items or anything. Understand it, and then when you feel confident enough that you understand the problem and you know what outcome people want and you know how long things take, you might not be a fully fledged expert yet, but you can come back to this video and re-engineer your offer once you've done that. If you are in a position where you know what problem you want to solve, but you just don't know how to solve it yet, then you can go ahead and make your offer, okay? And this is really important. I'm going to repeat that. If you know what you're going to solve, so the second you find a problem and you validate that problem and you decide on that problem and you find the solution, right? I.e., you kind of know what to do to solve the problem, but you're not an expert yet. Like you've just finished your market research, basically. Then you qualify to build an offer. So you don't need to become a fully fledged expert in order to build an offer. What matters is that you know what people want and you know what to position to get them to buy, and we'll worry about building the expertise and actually building the thing in the future once it's built, okay? So without further ado, let's get into it. So here's what we're going to cover. So first of all, create as if you are, and then explaining offers, offer power, common offer mistakes, offer structure, visualizing offers, business model, risk reversal models, offer construction steps, pricing your offer, and offer pricing worksheet. So we've got quite a lot to cover in this video, including a couple of very important steps. So I'm actually going to walk you through like step by step how to build these things. But before we do that, we need to get some understanding. So this resource will show you how to construct an offer. This is very important as an offer packages your expertise and solution into something that is marketable and sellable, into a product that people will actually purchase. Without one of these, you won't get very far. So you can think of an offer like packaging in the same way that if you were in a grocery store or a supermarket, if you just saw a bunch of crisps, or chips, like those little potato things that are covered in salt and vinegar or whatever, or like cheese and onion flavor, I don't know. But if you saw, in the UK, we call them crisps. In America, you'd probably call them chips, right? But if you saw a bunch of chips or crisps just laying on the floor with a price tag next to them, or they're just sat on the aisle out in the open, you probably wouldn't buy them because they don't look very attractive. But if you take some really nice packaging and you put those chips or those crisps inside that packaging and you make it all shiny and eye-grabbing and it looks cool, then you're more likely to buy the crisps or the chips, right? So think of an offer like packaging, basically. because people aren't here people won't just buy your thing because it's your thing. They'll buy it because you make it seem a certain way. And that's just called marketing. So the first thing here is to create as if you are. So at this point in the training, if you're watching this for the first time, and you might be watching this for the second time, if you are, then, carry on going through the program and good work. But at this point in the training, you should have the following. So you've got your niche selected and validated. Now, if you're watching this for the first time, then you will not yet have your problem defined and validated, and you will not yet have your solution defined and validated. Because if you're watching this for the first time, then you are yet to discover a problem and validate that problem, let alone start to even understand how to solve that problem and actually validate a solution. If you're watching this for the second time, then you should be in a position where you've done this thing and potentially this thing as well. Okay, but this thing's the main thing. And this is okay. It's designed to be watched twice, like I said. So you can watch the video now for your first time without going through action items, just to get a grasp of offers and what to expect. And we want to keep you moving through the program. So I don't want you, like I said, to be doing niche research for the next 2 months and just hiding behind your keyboard making pretty diagrams and notes. We actually want to continue taking action on this thing. So once you've finished your niche research and have landed on a proper problem and validated that problem, which should be in the next 2 to 8 weeks, then you can come back, watch it again, and complete the action items. Only once you have found and validated this problem can you do this, right? So once you have found and validated the problem, you still won't know how to solve it, but that's what week 3 is for. So all we're trying to do, you can come back to this video once you can tick this box. So the second you've found and defined and validated a problem, you can tick the box. And then we're going to create the offer, and then you're going to be like, well, I don't know how to solve the problem yet. I don't even know I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. Well, that's fine, because we're going to get into the solution in week 3, and I'm going to show you how to become an expert. But you don't need to be an expert to create an offer. You just need to know what people want, and then you can build your expertise around the need and desire of the market. And the main thing is, when creating your offer, you create the offer first based on what the market wants or needs, and then you develop your skills to deliver that offer. So you do not try to build an offer around what you can do right now, because that won't work. So the reason you want to build the offer before you even know how to solve the problem, because it might sound counterintuitive, but all that matters is that we are offering people what they want or need. Our skill set and our expertise at the present moment in time has absolutely nothing to do with it. So you don't build an offer around your skills and your expertise. No, right? You build an offer around the wants and needs of the market, and then you build your skills and expertise around the offer. If you do it the other way around, you're going to create an offer that is fundamentally restrained by your ability, which means that you're not going to make something very good, depending on where you're at right now, no offense, right? So your skills and expertise should be developed to meet your offer. Your offer should not be developed to meet your skills and expertise. This is a huge mistake people make when starting a business, is they ask themselves, oh, what am I good at? I can't really do this very well, but I'm just going to offer this kind of crappy thing that no one really wants because it's all I can do. And then they go out and they try and start a business. No one buys it because, well, they don't care. And then they're in trouble. So because of this, the second that you've defined your problem and validated it, you want to craft your offer and do it in a way that is extremely compelling, even if you don't know how to deliver on it just yet. Okay? And this is going to be weird because, you're going to start to be writing down promises about outcomes and timeframes that you don't even know if it's possible. You should know if it's possible because we're validating the problem, right? But you don't even know how to do it. And this can feel very strange and weird, but your offer should force you to learn, become an expert, and get good. So you must meet the market where it is, because it will not meet you where you are, okay? The point I'm making is you have to stretch yourself and expand your horizons and knowledge to meet what the market wants. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to offer this because it's what I can do. No. So when you found the problem, come back here, you can tick this box. You won't have found the solution yet unless you already know how to solve it. Maybe you do. If that's the case, then you've saved yourself a lot of hassle. But what matters is you find the problem. And we'll worry about the solution later. For now, it's just the offer. So, in summary, when crafting your offer, craft it as it is. Even if you are already the best in the world, craft it as if you are already the best in the world at your thing and are a true expert in what you do, even if you aren't. Because you will learn, and your offer creation cannot be constrained or must not be constrained to your skills, expertise, and experience at present. Okay? So this is the main thing. Craft it as if you're the best in the world at your thing. Don't worry about whether or not it's possible. Don't worry about how long it's going to take you to learn. Don't worry about whether or not it's good, because none of that matters. The only thing that matters is, does your market need or want this? Okay? So now that I've got into that, let's actually explain what the hell an offer is. Because offer is like quite a loose term. And, you know, in the world, we use the word offer for lots of different reasons and lots of different, things in business. So in the consulting world, and I'm just talking in the consulting world here, right? Because, you know, in e-commerce, this might be different, but other places it might be different. So in the consulting world, an offer is not a product at all. It's not a product, okay? Your offer is not your product. You do not offer what you do. And I'm going to explain this. Your offer is not a service. Your offer is not your guarantee. Your offer is not your discount. Your offer is not your price. Your offer is not what you do to get results, okay? You need to get this through your head. These things are not what you're selling. Now, yes, in theory, what you are transacting for money is a product or a service, right? But these things these things don't make up the offer. You don't go to your market and say, hey, I'm going to do this for you. No, you say, I'm going to get you this outcome, okay? Now, I know this might sound a bit backwards, but to understand this, we must revisit the gap. So you should remember this diagram, and by the way, if you haven't watched week 1 from the beginning, then you should do that, because everything if you don't recognize this diagram, you're already in trouble, right? So please make sure you've watched the previous videos. But remember this, people don't buy products, services, guarantees, discounts, all because of a certain price. They don't buy the price, they don't buy the discount, they don't buy the guarantees. Now, they might do this in a different industry, like a car, like an automotive industry, or the e-commerce industry, or the massage industry, I don't know. But I know that in the consulting world, people don't buy because of these things. These things might help, but it's not the main thing. They don't buy what you do. They don't buy Facebook ads. They don't buy coaching. They don't buy courses. They don't buy marketing. They don't buy information, and they don't buy consulting. They buy the outcome. They buy the result, and they buy the desired situation. Remember, you do not sell what you do, you sell the outcome of doing it. You do not offer what you do, you offer the outcome of doing it. Because of this, your offer is all about packaging your expertise and critical information, and you should remember this term from elucidatory axioms, into a perceived vehicle to bridge the gap between where they are now and where they want to be. So just to give you some examples to make this concrete, so what's more compelling? I'm going to help you run Facebook ads for your business, or I'm going to help you get 10 clients in the next 30 days guaranteed. Because Facebook ads might be what you do, right? But it's not about what you do. People don't buy Facebook ads. Now, your argument could be, yeah, well, but they do, because that's what I'm selling them. No, you need to get this through your head. What you deliver, like the methodology you use, or the critical information you deploy to bring about the change in reality for someone, is not what you're selling. Like, it's what you do, it's the cause. You don't sell the cause, you sell the effect. That's the easiest, most concise way for me to put this. We sell effects, we do not sell causes. So, cause, no one cares. Effect, everyone cares. Another example, I'm going to create you and sell you a diet plan and exercise program. Well, this is a cause, right? So what we do instead, a more compelling way of presenting this as an offer would be, I'm going to help you lose 50 pounds in 6 months guaranteed. Once again, we don't sell the cause, we sell the effect. In marketing and sales, we focus on selling the outcome, not the thing that gets us there, okay? So it's not about your course. Like, for example, you're in Imperium Academy right now, watching this video, right? And, you're investing your time into this program, and, you're part of the community and you've signed up and everything. And you probably didn't sign up for this thing because it's a course. You probably didn't sign up because it's information. You signed up because you thought it could get you from where you are right now to where you want to be. You weren't concerned with the cause, you were concerned with the effect when you made the purchase or when you made the decision to come on board, right? So as you can now see, offers are not what they seem, okay? In our world, an offer is basically, it's pretty straightforward. In our world, an offer is a way in which a product or service is positioned. So an offer is positioning. So one way you could position your business and your sales argument is I'm a personal trainer and I'm going to give you, 6 sessions a month, and I'm going to give you a diet plan, and I'm going to hold you accountable to your goals, and yeah, I'm going to be there for you. Okay, well, that's what you do, but what's the result of that? It's like, I'm a personal trainer and I'm going to get you in the best shape of your life for your wedding so that you can feel unbelievably confident and fit into your dream wedding dress. What do you think someone is going to care more about? Now, obviously, if you're a dude, maybe you don't care too much about that. But if you're a bride-to-be and there's a personal trainer that specifically helps upcoming brides get in shape to, fit into a specific size of wedding dress, you're probably going to care more about feeling good on your wedding day than how many days a week the trainer is going to be in the gym with you. Now, you might still ask, and it might still be an important thing in your buying decision, but it's not going to be the cause. The thing that you do is not going to be the stimulus that initiates the sales conversation in the first place or closes the deal, right? So offers have strength, and strength works on a scale. Offers aren't binarily simply weak or strong, or good or bad. I see this a lot where people are like, oh, is this a good offer or a bad offer? Or is this a strong offer or a weak offer? And you don't really get these sort of binary things. It's a question of how weak or how strong or how good or how bad, and it's only in contrast to other offers in the market. And so this is why I say that an offer is the way that a product or service is positioned, because in your market, you've got lots of competitors, and your competitors have, they present their offers in a certain way, and your job is to present is to present your offer in a way that is stronger or better than other people. And I'm going to show you how, so don't worry. Now, this question is answered by your market by comparing your offer to your competitors. When you create an offer, you are positioning your product. And the way when you ask yourself, what's positioning? Well, you can only position something in relation to something else. So if I said to you, if I walked into your room right now with a small house plant, and I said, where would you like this plant to be positioned? You'd say, oh, I'd like it to be positioned opposite the window. Or I'd like it to be positioned on the desk, on the right-hand side opposite the door. Or I'd like it to be positioned next to the fan. You can only position something next to something else, okay? And so what we're doing when we create our offer is we're going out and we're looking at the market and we're basically trying to make our offer appear better than everybody else's. And if you're wondering, by the way, how to do this, because I figured out how to do this for my market and it's not easy to do, you just have to have a better product. Because if you look at EasyGrow's offer right now, and you might be familiar with EasyGrow's offer if you've been seeing it promoted and stuff throughout this program, EasyGrow's offer, no one even comes in any way, shape, or form remotely close to guaranteeing the number of clients we guarantee, getting the results we get, and positioning it that well. The only reason that EasyGrow's offer is so insanely strong and so insanely good is because it absolutely smashes every other offer for client acquisition in the market. It's not that we have a good or bad offer, it's just that it's way better than everybody else's. Someone could come along and double my offer, and then suddenly my offer would become weak. But the only reason I know no one can do that is because no one has a better product than me. I basically spent a year of my life and hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more than that at this point, on research and development into this program, probably millions, right? Actually, it would be millions, if you think about it. No one can outdo that. And so if you want to have a sick offer, you just have to have a really sick product. And so this is why I'm saying that you want to just worry about crafting the offer and making it really compelling, and then trying to meet your skill set and your expertise to deliver that thing. Now, the way you position your product influences your market's perception of that product, which ultimately influences their confidence in it. And so all an offer is a display of confidence. Okay, think of it kind of like how in nature documentaries, certain birds will have these weird mating rituals, where they'll build certain nests or do certain dances, and really what it is a game of confidence. It's the female will come along, and then the males will start dancing or building their nests or something, and the female will pick the male that she has the most confidence in terms of his ability to, whatever the hell birds want these days, right? Like birds is in, the organisms, not the flightless, the things that fly, not actual women, right? But you get my point. Who knows what female birds want these days, right? Whatever. But the point I'm making is that like your offer is kind of like, and this is going to be an extensive metaphor that I hope doesn't get clipped on short form content. It's kind of like a marketing mating display where you're going out to the market and you're showing them, look at my dance, look at my feathers, look at my nest. I've got a better nest than everybody else. I've got a better dance than everybody else, which means that I'm stronger, better, and will be able to give you more of what you want. I know that's a weird analogy, but that's kind of how it works. It's all about market perception. You're trying to basically have the market perceive your product as something that gives, it's like, oh, this is a sure thing. You're trying to get them to perceive it in a way that influences their confidence to be higher. In the same way that a male bird would do by building a massive nest or, learning a specific dance or growing like those peacocks, those massive tails. It's like, yeah, I've got spare calories lying around, to grow this thing, like I'm a pretty safe bet, whatever the hell that means, but you get my point. So for example, 5 competing businesses could have identical business models, because this is the thing, like how do you stand out? Well, you could have 5 people with the same business model, identical niches, identical problems, and identical solutions with identical results. But you can have totally different positioning on offer. So, let's say we've got 5 businesses, like one of them can have a really strong offer, but it's only strong because the other ones are weaker than it, right? And so the above examples are only weak or strong when contrasted to each other. Offers aren't good or bad only when compared to other offers made by competitors. Now, because 90% of people in the online space don't understand offer creation, you can gain a really big business advantage. You can have the same business as somebody else and even get the same results and make more money than them just by positioning what you do in a slightly better way. Now note, offers succeed when they inspire certainty and position products as vehicles or pathways to escape current situations and achieve desired ones. And offers succeed when they are unique and force the market to perceive a product or business in a different, better way to competition. Niches and markets do not saturate, offers do. It's an important lesson in business here. Like your niche or your market, people say this all the time, like, oh, my niche is saturated. It's like the only real way for a niche to saturate would be for that niche to wake up tomorrow and have every single problem that they face immediately solved forever. And that doesn't happen. So if you can't get clients, it's not because the niche is saturated, but because the offer you're using is saturated. Like, what the hell do you expect? If you just rock up to, if you just go along to a market and then suddenly you start, copying other people's offers and doing the exact same thing as everybody else, well, of course you're not going to get clients. Like, it's kind of like, how the hell are you going to pick? It'd be like if you it's like imagine going into a theater or a cinema, not a cinema, but you go into a theater with a big stage, okay? And there's 50,000 seats in this theater. And everybody in those seats is your market, right? It's your niche. You've got 50,000 people sat down, okay? And then on stage, you walk out with 5,000 of your competitors. And your job is to stand out from the crowd. Now, if everybody on that stage is wearing a gray suit, then your niche doesn't know who to pick. Like everybody in the audience, they don't know who to look at. They don't know like who to pick, whatever. And then let's say that you come out in a bright blue suit. Well, suddenly you stand out and you look different to everybody else. And sometimes that's all you have to do, in order to actually get people's attention and start working. Or say that everyone starts singing and they all sing the same note, but you just sing it way better. Like you're going to stand out. Like if you're singing the same song as everybody, but then there's like one voice in the crowd of those 5,000 people that's just hitting these notes beautifully, they're going to stand out and the market will know who to pick. And that's exactly what I've done with EasyGrow. There are hundreds of client acquisition programs that say, I'll guarantee you 3 clients, I'll guarantee you 100 appointments, I'll do this, I'll do that. And like, we just came along with EasyGrow and we just put a blue suit on. We were like, I don't even want to look anything like these guys. And it worked. And it's made us tens of millions of dollars. So offer power. Do you actually need one? You might be thinking, well, do I need an offer? Like, what's the point? Well, offers are incredibly important. So here's why. So first of all, rising tide. A rising tide raises all ships. In client acquisition, your offer can quite literally improve every single metric and system you have. Your offer alone can move your sales conversion rate by 10 to 40%. So sales conversion rate is basically like the percentage chance you have of closing a client that actually comes on a call with you for a sales call, right? It can improve your show up rate by 10 to 40%, which is basically the rate at which people show up for the appointments they schedule with you. And don't worry about these technical terms, we're going to get into them in the sales module. But it can also improve your appointment booking rate on different systems by 5 to 10%. Just by fixing this one small thing, you can fix everything. It's an asymmetric advantage, meaning it takes a small amount of time and energy to put into it, but massively, massively disproportionate returns in return. And so this is what this means. Just by nailing your offer, you can make everything in your business work better. And persuasion, the more powerful your offer, the less persuasive and skilled you need to be to acquire clients. Learning how to become persuasive takes years of daily practice and doesn't come naturally to lots of people. Creating a good offer takes a few hours and gives the same, if not better, returns. If you don't have a good offer, you'll need to persuade even more. So, if your offer sucks, you can still make money if you're an incredible salesperson. But I'm assuming that, you haven't got 15 years of sales experience under your belt. And even if you do, if you have a good offer, it's going to be like candy from a baby. So, yeah. Of course, the best thing to do is be persuasive with a good offer, but we're going to teach you how to do both those things. And making it easy. Good offers make client acquisition easy. If you create a sales argument or an offer that cannot be defeated, then you will close deals. Like if you look at EasyGrow's offer, it's kind of like, how could you possibly say no? It's one of those offers where it's just like in the marketing world, it's called a no-brainer. Like a no-brainer offer. Like to not buy, you'd feel stupid, you'd feel dumb, and you would be, because it's like it's such an insane offer, and it's such an insane return with such insane results and track record, and the risk reversals there. Like if you come on, if you hop on a call for EasyGrow and you're a fit for EasyGrow and you don't buy EasyGrow, it's like you need like a lobotomy or something. And this happens, obviously people come on, they're not fit and they don't buy and they get scared or whatever. But when you look at the offer for EasyGrow, for example, which I'm just giving you as an example because it's kind of literally what I'm teaching, I'm practicing what I'm preaching right now, you can't really say no to it, because it's so compelling. You want an offer that is so good that no one would say no. It would make them feel stupid or like they're an irresponsible person. If you position what you do in a way that makes them feel as though they can be certain and have extreme confidence in your product to get them what they want, it's impossible for them to say no. Now, some mistakes. These are really important mistakes because we're going to talk about how to create your offer, but before we do, you need to avoid doing these things. So you're going to be tempted to fall into these 5 things, so please don't, because if you do, then you're going to screw this up. So there's 5 common mistakes people make when creating offers. The first one is copycatting. So remember that an offer is a way to position your product in a way that is so different from the competition that you stand out and cannot be rejected. Most people just copy their offers from the competition, which is a viable strategy to start, but not viable to scale. Learn to think for yourself and position yourself as unique and as a market of one. You want your offer to make it sound like your market can only get what they want from you. And playing it safe. The bolder, braver, and more ballsy the offer, the better positioned you will be and the more confidence it will inspire in your market. I like to create offers in my businesses whereby if I don't deliver, there are genuine consequences and risks on my end. And I want to play with a hand in the game, if that makes sense. And what I basically mean by that is like if someone comes on board to EasyGrow, for example, and they do not get results, I lose money, right? I actually actively lose dollars. Like I go into the red if someone doesn't get results, because not only do I give them back all their money, but I've then paid sales commission on that, and there's all sorts of other stuff involved as well that makes me lose money. So I like playing that game. I like to create these offers where there are real consequences to me failing, because it holds me accountable and gives me an incentive to get really good at what I do. And this is why my refund rate is like 0.4%, because we've got so good at what we do, because if we weren't, then we would lose money and I'd go out of business, and I don't want to do that. If a prospect understands that you have skin in the game and you have your neck on the line for them, they'll feel more comfortable working with you. And once again, it's a confidence thing. Now, if you're at the very beginning of your journey, do not go into the red for your clients, but at least come back to ground zero. So what I mean by that is you don't have to pay sales commission and pay fees and go into the red if someone doesn't get results. But you should at least be back to where you started. So if you charge someone $5,000 and you promise them something and in a certain time, and then you don't deliver that in that time, then you should refund them. And that's going to hurt because, you know, you're kind of losing what they gave you, but you're no worse off or better off than when you started. So don't go into the red. Don't be like, oh, if you don't get this result, like I'm going to give you a full refund, then I'm going to work for free, then I'm also going to send you $3,000 to say sorry. If you're not good at what you do yet, that's dumb because you're going to end up going into the red and actually going to get in trouble, right? So don't do that. Now, complicating it. Offers can be like, people can really complicate this. So complicated offers confuse people. You want your offer to be clean, simple, and easy to understand. You want to think about offers from an MVO perspective, which stands for minimum viable offer. Asking yourself, what can I remove from this offer while still making it as grand slam as possible? The best way to strengthen your offer is to remove things, not add them. Okay? This is really important. So when we're building our offer, like you're going to be tempted to write this thing to like 3 or 4 paragraphs. But I'm telling you now that the easiest way to make an offer more appealing and compelling is to remove things, not add them. So, you know, you're going to have a short form message, long form message. You're going to have your pitch as a result of this. If it's complicated, you're going to lose deals because people like, you might think that, oh, well, I'm just going to put in as much as I can and make it like as many words. No. No one's going to care and you're going to lose money. And also non-industry specific. So if you're working in a certain market, then your offer should be tailored towards that market. And this sounds simple enough, but you want to use industry specific buzzwords and expectations. Otherwise you will alienate your market or not resonate with them. So an example of this, I had a client doing marketing for interior designers. Okay, so one of our clients was doing marketing for interior designers and he was promising high ticket customers. Now, interior, like in the online space, in the consulting space, in the agency space, we throw the word high ticket around in the same way that, you know, a normal person would throw around the word hello. It's just part of our lingo. We just say high ticket. We know exactly what it means. But I challenged him and I said, when has an interior designer ever used the words high ticket? And he was like, yeah, fair. I was like, you need to use industry specific language and be very careful using language that you know that they might not know. Because a little bit of thinking would have helped him realize that the words high ticket don't exist in the interior design world. You know, they just don't. It's the same way where if you're helping plumbers, you don't tell them you're going to get them, you know, more clients because plumbers don't see their like customers as clients. They don't. Client is like a B2B term. Just because you want clients doesn't mean they do. If you were talking to plumbers, you'd use jobs. You know, I'm going to help you get more jobs. I'm going to help you get more hot water cylinder repair clients, or you know, I'm going to help if it's electricians, I'm going to get you more house rewires. You know, you got to be careful with these words. And based on product, okay? You should never build your offer around your product. Instead, you should build your product around your offer. So start with a bold claim that people genuinely care about and want, and then figure out how to make a product that delivers it. This is the most fatal mistake people make. They limit their promises and claims to their skill set, experience, and expertise instead of using claims and promises to stretch their skill set. Your offer should make you uncomfortable and force you to improve. When I launched EasyGrow's offer, I was beside myself with terror. I was like, if this thing doesn't work, like I'm in deep trouble. Now, I'm a little bit more seasoned and experienced and hardened in the offer creation business, so I kind of knew it was going to be fine. So I'm not saying that you should create some absolute ridiculous thing that you're never going to achieve in a million years, at least for like 3 or 4 years, right? But you want to try and, you know, push the boat a little bit. It should make you feel a little bit like, holy shit, can I really do that? And then that's how we really, you know, put petrol on the fire with the business. It's when you've got to perform. You've got to figure that thing out. You know, and if you have to, you will, because there's money on the line. So what is the actual structure of an offer like? What does an offer look like? Well, offers consist of 5 variables and also a wildcard variable. So what we have here is, you know, in terms of the structure of an actual high ticket consulting offer, is we have N plus O plus T plus RR plus M times S. And so what this means, the actual structure of an offer is niche plus outcome plus time frame plus risk reversal plus methodology multiplied by spin. So the niche is obviously the group of people you work with. The outcome is the result that you're going to promise them. And the outcome is basically what I'm just going to put here, what happens if you solve the problem that they have, right? Time frame is the amount of time it takes to get the promised result or the promised outcome. Risk reversal is a huge component, and risk reversal is basically a safety net that clients have to avoid wasting or losing money. So a risk reversal is basically when it's a way of giving someone confidence. It's a way of saying, hey, person in niche, I will help you get exactly what you want in a time frame that's reasonable for us to do it. And if I don't, then you don't lose your money. Okay? So risk reversal can come in many forms. You can say guaranteed to work, pay on results, paid on performance, or you don't pay, or your money back, or it's on the house, or we'll pick up the bill, or it's on us, no win, no fee, charged on delivery, outcome-based payment, only pay when we deliver, no fee without results, etc. Now, you're going to be taking money up front from people, and I'm going to show you how to collect thousands of dollars on Zoom with one call. And I'm going to walk you through a sales system that will allow you to do this, and you're going to crush it, and it's going to make you a lot of money. But what you're going to do is you're going to charge people for your services, and if you don't get them the result that you promised them, then you're going to refund them. And let me tell you right now, you better fucking refund them. If you don't get them results, fucking refund them. Do not be greedy. Do not be a nasty person and keep money that isn't deserved, because that's not what I'm teaching you to do. What I'm teaching you to do here is create risk reversal offers that make people feel safe, and they should genuinely be safe. I do not want anyone in this program promising the moon, not delivering it, and then keeping people's money afterwards. If you do that, there is absolutely no place for you here. You do not belong here. Now, with that said, hopefully that's not you, and I'm sure it's not. I'm sure you don't have bad intentions. But the reason I say that is because what we're going to be doing is taking money up front and saying things like, oh, this is pay on results. So what you're going to do, Mr. Prospect, is pay me now. And if you don't get the result that I promised you, then I'm legally obligated to give you a full refund, which means that you're paying on result. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's not true, but kind of, you got to spin it a little bit. It's the same thing where it's like, only pay when we deliver. So, okay, Mr. Prospect, you're going to pay 50% now, and you're going to pay the other 50% when we deliver. And if we don't deliver by X date on what you want, then that 50% you paid us is going to be fully refunded back to you, and that's in writing, and you can dispute the payment, and it's fully within your control. So we're still taking payments up front. So the risk reversal really relies on you being a good person, which is why I had to kind of give you a bit of a stern talking to there. But I really mean it. Like, I do not want to, if I see anyone in this program scamming people, promising guarantees, promising outcome-based payments, and not honoring their word, like, you can just leave, because I have no time for people like that. Okay? So, yeah, because you won't get anywhere. You might make like a couple of grand, but then you're done. Like, it's out. You're not going to build anything. You're going to ruin the reputation of Imperium Academy. And more importantly, you're just compromising your integrity for a bit of cash, which is disgusting. So methodology, the high-level steps that you take to deliver the promised outcome. So part of your offer is your methodology, which is basically like how you actually get the outcome, explained at a very, very, very high level. And so when you're building your methodology, this is kind of like you're explaining what you do, but remember, we're not selling what you do, but you need to sort of explain and justify how the outcome can be delivered in the time frame. And then spin is basically doctoring and manipulating the terminology of the offer components to be persuasive. So spin, in essence, and I'm just going to put these here, otherwise it's going to annoy me. Spin, in essence, is basically like changing, like using different vocabulary, using different words, taking different angles to make your offer seem more sexy, more compelling, more appealing, etc., etc. So here are a few offer statements I've just come up with. So this is really what an offer looks like. It's basically just 2 lines of text, really. And it might be 3 lines of text, depending on how many words you've got to use. But it really should just come down to being this simple. So for example, let's say that we work with binge eaters. So the niche in this question is binge eaters. The outcome is overcome your binge eating habit, right? Which is obviously as a result of promising, the result that you promised them. And then the time frame is 90 days. The risk reversal is or you don't pay. The methodology is using our 5-step beating binge eating proven program. So the methodology, you're not saying, I'm going to help you beat binge eating by managing your cravings and then holding you accountable and giving you a community of people and coaching. No, we just say we have something called the Beating Binge Eating Proven Program. And that's called SPIN, right? So, all of spin is throughout this entire thing where you're spinning it to say, overcome your binge eating habit. Because what you could do is you could say instead just, stop binge eating. Yeah, it's what they want, but overcome your binge eating habit, sounds a little bit more compelling than just stop binge eating, right? So we'd use words like overcome instead of stop. And then another example of an offer could be for here. So the niche is parents who want their kids to be Ivy League educated. The outcome is I'll get your child into an Ivy League school. Time frame by their 19th birthday, risk reversal, no win, no fee, methodology using a proven Ivy League approved model. Okay? So, you could put Ivy League education model, preparation model. You want to play around with these words and put spin on it to make it sound sexier. And so what I mean by this no win, no fee thing here is what you do is you go to these parents, if you were in this niche, and you'd say, okay, give me $10,000 and I'll guarantee that this happens. And if it doesn't happen, then you refund them $10,000. Or they give you $5,000 now, $5,000 when it's finished. But if you don't get the result, you give them back their money, right? Or dentists. I'll help you sign, so the niche is dentists. The outcome, I'll help you sign 10 Invisalign clients in the next 10 weeks with a full money back guarantee if not, using our 3-step Invisalign acquisition process. Okay? And you could get fancy with it. You could say Invisalign prime time acquisition process. That might not work very well. But you know what I mean. You want to put some spin on it, make it sound sexy. Another example, gym owners. 100 qualified appointments. This is spin. I could just say 100 appointments, but I'm saying qualified appointments. 100 qualified appointments ready for a consultation through your door in the next 30 days on a pure pay per qualified appointment basis using our signature no ad spend appointment system. So I could say here, right, let's just give this example. So let's say we didn't put any spin on this, right? I could say gym owners, 100 appointments in the next 30 days on pay per appointment using our appointment system. That's an offer with no spin. But what sounds more compelling? Gym owners, 100 qualified appointments ready for consultation through your door. You could even say primed for consultation through your door in the next 30 days on a pure paper qualified basis, blah, 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 using our signature ad spend model, no ad spend at appointment. I'm tripping over my words. But you get my point, right? When you say the same thing too many times, you start to trip over it. But you can see the example of spin here. Okay? So some other examples of spin. So, I could say Imperium Academy is a course that contains videos explaining how to start a business. That's a fair assessment. That's what we do here. But if I put some spin on this, I could say Imperium Academy is a fast track to becoming a millionaire with a one-person remote online business, even with no experience, money, or ideas. So if you were buying the academy again, or you were starting it again, you were enrolling again, what would make you buy more? This first one or the second one? Well, the second one, and this is spin, okay? Another example of spin. I could say EasyGrow helps agency owners, coaches, and consultants get clients. Or with spin, I could say EasyGrow gives 15 easily installed client acquisition infrastructures pre-built for you by experts who have already solved the problem for themselves and 2,000 other people. What's more persuasive, So if you're wondering what does an offer look like, it's just a couple of sentences. It's really just a couple of sentences, and those sentences consist of the niche, the outcome, the time frame, the risk reversal mechanism, and then the methodology with some spin on it. That's it. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing wild. This is what you're going to be sending to people to get clients. This is what you're going to talk about if you're making content or making ads. And the better you get at making this little sentence as compelling as possible, the better. Okay? So here's just a quick visual before we build the thing. Because this is really what an offer looks like. We can kind of see what they look like in written form here. But to visualize them, this is how it works, okay? So I'm just going to drag this out for you so you can see a little bit better. Okay. So what we have here is a human with their current situation. And this is where someone currently is in life, typically unhappy and in pain. And then what we have here is this mess. This is a problem or something that needs to be fixed to achieve an outcome that satisfies a drive. So people are in their current situations and they have a mess in their current situations, which is basically a problem. Up here, we have their desired situation, which is where someone wants to be in life, typically happy and pleasurable. And then we have this star, which is the outcome, the end result of the result of working with you. And this should align with their goal. So the star, the outcome, is the desired situation. And this is what happens if we clean up this mess for them and solve this problem. Then we have these steps, because to go from current situation to desired situation, we have to bridge the gap. And the steps here, that you can see, represent the methodology. These are the steps or instructions you or they have to take or follow to make it work. And so this is the methodology. This is like the 5-step process or 6-step process or 42 videos or whatever it is. And here we have time, so the time frame it's going to take for them to use this methodology to get the result. And at the bottom, we have the trampoline. The trampoline or safety net is the guarantee. It's the risk reversal. It catches someone and bounces them back to the initial situation where they were if the steps fail and fall through. So people need to know, because it's kind of, if they're going to climb your steps and climb your methodology, that if the steps fall through and break, there's going to be something to catch them so they don't break their legs. Because people do not buy things if they do not believe they're going to work. And the easiest way to have someone not believe it's going to work is to make it very clear that if they try your methodology and it doesn't work, they're worse off than they were before. Because if you have no risk reversal and someone tries to climb your steps to get to the desired situation and it doesn't work and they fall off, well, now they're back where they started, but worse because they've got less money. And that's how you make an offer that no one wants to buy. So this is how we visualize an offer. Methodology bridges the gap, but the methodology, remember, is not the thing that we're selling. It's the vehicle. The outcome is the thing that we're selling. The methodology gets them to the outcome from the current situation to the desired situation by solving the problem to bring about the result and the outcome by using the steps with some risk reversal at the bottom. And really what you want to make sure is that your methodology is so sound and your steps are so good that you don't need a trampoline, but it's there anyway just to make people feel safe. In the same way that, if you were doing a bungee jump, you've obviously got, you're all strapped in and stuff, but it might make you feel a little bit safer if there is a net at the bottom. Now, you hope to God you don't need the net, but at least it's there in case you do, right? And so this is how we visualize offers. This is really what you're selling to people, and this is the easiest way for me to explain it. So we've already kind of covered this, and I want to go into it one more time briefly with you here, and this is the business model thing. So in the last video or the previous videos, I know you've selected your business model. So we picked between done for you, done with you, or DIY. But what I wanted to do quickly was just double check you've definitely picked the right one, because the offer that we're going to craft and create has to fit the business model. Okay. So the risk reversal mechanism, the methodology, the time frame, like the expectations, this has to fit like specifically a business model that you've picked. So we're going to really quickly recap this and exercise it again. So as you remember from previous videos, we've done this a few times now. We've got 3 different models for consulting. We've got done for you, which is where you execute on the critical information on behalf of the client, where you're doing the work for them to get the result. We've got done with you, which is where both you and the client are working together to apply the critical information to get the result. And then we have DIY or do it yourself, which is where you teach people and they apply the critical information themselves, which is, for example, what you're doing right now by watching this video. Okay. Now, all 3 models vary slightly in structure, but the underlying principle of the business is that you are providing critical information to solve a problem, to create value. The only real distribution or difference, is the distribution of the work and who does it. So obviously you've probably picked already, but we're just going to go back through it again. I want you just to verify that you've definitely picked the right one, and you can do this even if this is your first time watching. Okay. So remember, done for you, business model is for people who are total beginners with no experience in a niche, where you can deliver value by doing the work for clients. Now, here's the thing, right? Because I've already got you to pick a business model, right? And it's probably going to be done for you or done with you if you're just starting. But until you understand the true nature of the problem that you're going to be solving, you don't really know which one to pick. So the reason I've had to reintroduce this and put this back in here is because when you come to revisit this, when you've actually done some research in your market and you validated a problem, you might have to switch the model from done with you to done for you, or done for you to done with you. Because, for example, if you decided to pick, I don't know, what's a good example? Let's say that you decided to pick, you wanted to help aspiring actors get better at method acting, okay? And that's going to be your thing. And that's the problem you're going to help them solve, is specifically getting better at method acting, which by the way, is a form of acting with no script. Maybe that's what you want to do. Well, you can't do that for them. That's not a done for you thing. You can't do better method acting for someone else. It's going to have to be done with you coaching. In the same way that if you decided you wanted to help young men with dating, and let's say you thought initially, oh, I'm going to do done with you dating coaching, but it later transpires that the problem you're going to solve is dating profile optimization. Well, that could be a done for you solution instead. So maybe you would do it for them and log into their dating apps, like whatever. I don't know if it's like Tinder or whatever the hell people use these days. I'm honestly not sure, but you know what I mean. So the point I'm making is right now you've probably picked one, but you might have to change it depending on what problem you're trying to solve. So done for you, done with you, total beginners, for people who are beginners, but this is where you're doing the work. So you solve the problem by doing it for them. Done with you is where you solve the problem by coaching them how to do it. And do it yourself is only for people, and this is very important, it's only for people who have successfully got the result and solved the problem properly for more than 15 clients in the same niche as a done for you or done with you consultant. So what this means is that you've serviced 15 people, and you've serviced 15 people properly and actually gotten them results, and you've actually delivered the outcome and solved the problem for 15 people. Now, the other exception to this, the only exception to this, is you can go straight into do it yourself and build a course if you've already solved the problem yourself. So for example, if you want to teach people how to become successful property investors, but you've already done this yourself, well then you can do DIY. So to qualify for DIY, either you've done it yourself or you've done it for 15 people. Say for example, you wanted to get into online fitness coaching and you're a 21-year-old guy and you are a beefcake. Let's just say you are completely jacked and you've got every man's dream body. Well, you can go straight into teaching people how to do that with a course because you've done it yourself. But if you want to get into fitness and you haven't done it yourself, then you need to help at least 15 people do it first, right? So that's that. Now, remember, the end goal for any consultant should be do it yourself, which is a high ticket course, okay? This is the end goal. And 99% of you should be aiming for DIY because DFY and DWY are springboards to DIY, okay? Now, DIY, do it yourself, revolves around selling a high ticket course. High ticket means you're charging thousands of dollars for access to critical information required to get the results. And sometimes this can be tens of thousands of dollars. You can charge 10, 20K, 30K for these courses, depending on your model. If you want to get to 100K a month and become a millionaire, the easiest way to do that is do it yourself. Trying to get to 100K a month with done for you or done with you is incredibly difficult unless you have extremely high prices. And even then, like I've done this. I've got to 100K a month with a done for you agency, and I've got to 100K a month with a done with you coaching business. I've done it with both these models. This was Northflow Consulting. This was Imperium Agency before Imperium Acquisition, and it sucks. I had like 64 clients, which just was basically unmanageable, and it was chaos, and our profit margins were low. Then I transitioned to Info, and it was fine, right? Info means DIY. So let me just repeat this, because I know you've heard this before, but it's really important. Done for you and done with you are absolutely amazing models for beginners who are just starting out. For you to get to $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month, done for you and done for you and done with you, they are your best friends. But the second that you become competent enough to be considered a true expert, which means that you've either done it for yourself or done it for 15 people, then it's time to move to DIY. So your goal, if you've picked DWY or DFY, is to get to DIY. I just want to get this into your brain now because I want to set your expectations that I know you're not worried about this. I know you're not thinking about 100K a month. I know you're not thinking about 50K a month. You just want to get a couple of clients and start making some money online. But you're going to get good at this if you pay attention to the program. If you do what I tell you to do, if you do the action items, if you really do the niche research, you work on your mindset, you become an expert, you learn to sell, you book appointments, if you actually do this program, you're going to get to like six figures, multi-six figures, probably even more, right? You probably will if you really nail it. And when that happens, you're going to want to take the next step, which is DIY. So I'm just telling you now and setting your expectations for the future. So once again, you're not going to be able to answer this. You can kind of answer this now, but you might have to change your mind. Based on your understanding of the above and your niche and their problem and potential expertise you have to build, which business model are you going to pick to start? Decide it now and write down. So if you've done it for yourself and you want to teach other people how to do it, then you're going to put DIY. But if the problem requires that the person takes some responsibility and does it themselves, then you're going to do done with you. But if the problem can be solved for them, then it's going to be done for you. Okay? So you need to pick. Now, a little warning, and this is really important. Please do not try to build don't just jump the gun. Do not try to build a high ticket course or an info product, which is DIY, right? Off the rip without having actually done it yourself or having helped 15 people first. Also, if you do decide to go down the do-it-yourself route and you want to get into the high-ticket consulting realm, then you're going to need Consulting Nirvana and EasyGrow. Consulting Nirvana and EasyGrow, in fact, let me show you. So I just pulled this up. This is Consulting Nirvana. And Consulting Nirvana is basically a 4-phase program inside of EasyGrow that teaches you how to build a DIY solution. If you try to build a high-ticket course or a do-it-yourself solution without Consulting Nirvana, you're going to make some huge mistakes because there's so much that you need to know around this. Like, for example, all the support systems, like how to actually operate the thing, how to scale the thing. If, for example, if you're transitioning from one business model to another, like DWY or DFY to DIY, you need to know like how to graduate and how to actually transition. And there's a whole checklist for this. My point here is that going to an info model is not easy, and there's a lot of things to bear in mind. There's a whole methodology for course creation, and if you don't understand this, you're headed for trouble. Trust me, I've built many courses before, and only when I built them using the principles that I lay out on Consulting Nirvana did they actually make sense. So when you're ready to create a DIY offer or a high-ticket course, then you should apply for EasyGrow. Now, you might want to apply for EasyGrow before you're ready to transition if you want to scale what you've already got. So let's say that you start a done-for-you service or a done-with-you service and you get a couple of clients and you want to get way more clients really quickly and get to like multi-six figures like tomorrow, then you can apply for EasyGrow. But at the same time, the other person that might want to apply for EasyGrow is someone who wants to start a DIY thing off the bat, right? It's really important. If you want instructions on how to apply for EasyGrow, then there will be instructions in the week 1 introduction video. Please just do not try to do it alone. You need Consulting Nirvana. Like trying to build a course and structure a high ticket deal and the guarantee terms and like actually making the content, like it's going to take you 5 times longer if you don't know what you're doing. So just a piece of advice, right? So risk reversal models. So let's just talk about this risk reversal thing real quick, because there are many ways to charge clients depending on what business model and risk reversal model you pick. And there are best practices to follow. So you might be a little bit kind of confused by these terms that we've got up here. Where are they? Guarantee, pay on results, paid on performance, or you don't pay. Like I like to create offers where I'm charging people up front, but I'm spinning it to say, hey, you're paying on performance, or if we don't win, there's no fee. And what that means is people understand once they come on board that if they don't get the result, we give them back their money, right? I don't like people paying a percentage of what I make them. Never do that. People are going to try it on you. Clients are going to try and take the piss, and then they're going to be like, oh, how about you just do all the work and I'll pay you if it works? Like, no, because in order for a consulting solution to work, both you and the prospect have to have skin in the game. So what I don't want to see anyone doing is taking on clients essentially for free and then like being like, oh, but I'm going to give them like, they're going to give me a portion of the revenue I get them, or they're going to pay me for when the result comes, because they won't. And also they have no incentive to actually, they have nothing to see it through. If you start coaching someone and they haven't paid you any money, they're not going to listen to you. Like, a coach only holds authority insofar as financial transaction has occurred. And same thing with a done-for-you agency. If you start doing a service for someone and they haven't paid for it, then they're not going to give you the things you need. They're not going to listen to you. They're not going to get results. So it's actually within people's best interest to pay money up front. As long as you're a person of honor, a man or a woman of honor, and you give back the money, if it doesn't work, that's all that matters. So with this risk reversal thing, let's just discuss it real quick. Okay. So if you're running a done-for-you marketing agency, as I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking about doing, then you can go here for the best risk reversal models. So what I've actually got is an entire module dedicated to SMMA or social media marketing risk reversal models. And there's a whole video on it here. So if you want to watch this, then you can come here and watch it. And this basically explains all of the models for social media marketing agencies that you can use to get clients. And there's 7 different models that you can see here. And this is specifically for the social media marketing agency space. If you're not going into SMMA or marketing, then you don't need to worry about this. And I wouldn't worry too much. It's a lot simpler. If you're running a done for you or done with you model that isn't marketing, that's not SMMA, then all you're going to do is reverse the risk with a refund guarantee that's conditional on you and them doing the work. So it's super simple. You bring them on. You can use any of these terms to get people on appointments, and then just say, it's this amount of money. If in this time frame you don't get the result, you get it all back. That's pay on results. That's paid on performance. Or you don't pay, or your money back. It's on the house, or we pick up the bill, or it's on us, or it's no win, no fee. You can use these terms with a simple refund clause. And you might think you can't, but trust me, you can, because I've done this to make $25 to $30 million. Okay? And that's that. So basically, if you're running a DFY or done with you model, what you want to do is make a list of everything that you need to do and that they need to do to get the result. So all the causes that create the effect that solve the problem to get the outcome. And if they don't get the result, then you're going to give them a refund. So say, for example, it's a done with you model where you're helping brides to be get into a certain size of dress. Well, you're going to guarantee that they get into that dress. You'd call it like the bridal boutique guarantee or whatever, like the special day guarantee, I don't know. And you're going to make sure that they do the work, because in order for them to actually get into that dress, they have to show up. So you're going to say, you will show up for the gym 4 days a week. You will follow the meal plan that I give you. You will spend this amount of money on groceries. You will do these stretches 2 times a week. People have to do the work. And so what we do with guarantees is we're going to write a list of things they have to do, and provided they do them, if they don't get the result, then we give all the money back. But the funny thing is about this is you're never going to have to refund people, because if you know as an expert exactly what they have to do to get the result and they do it, then they're going to get the result and you don't have to refund them. This is why my refund rate for EasyGrow is like less than 1%, like 0.4%, which is completely unheard of in this high ticket world. It's because I know exactly what steps people have to take. So I mandate that they take them, and then people do it, and then they actually get results, so they don't want a refund. It's kind of funny how it works if you know what you're doing, right? So don't worry about this for now, because you're gonna now you're gonna be worrying about this refund thing. I know you're thinking about this, like, well, how the hell? I don't know how to write a guarantee, and I don't know how to write legal documents that entail refunds and stuff, and I don't know. Don't worry about this. We're gonna cover it in week 3 when we build your expertise. We're gonna create the methodology and the steps. For now, just pick a model, okay? So I don't want you to be too concerned with this refund thing. I'm just telling you that it's going to be part of the game, but I don't want you to worry about it because we'll cover it. Now, DIY is pretty similar. You're going to reverse the risk with a refund guarantee conditional to specific action items. And also, if you're feeling really spicy, you can put a cash wire on top. So I'll give you, if it doesn't work, I'll give you back all your money. I'll also send you $3,000 to say sorry. Only if you're really confident though, right? So in Consulting Nirvana, in EasyGrow, we explore how to structure these guarantees properly. Do not try to set up, because I'm not going to cover DIY offers in this thing because it's extremely complicated and it's it's advanced, right? So if you're an advanced person and you want to get into DIY, then you need EasyGrow, because if you try and create a conditional guarantee term without knowing what that looks like or the method behind it, then you're going to get lots of problems with refunds. But in Consulting Nirvana, we explore how to structure these guarantees. So yeah, don't try and set one up without Consulting Nirvana, because you're gonna mess it up. So 2 rules for risk reversal model selection. 2 rules. Never free, no matter what. I do not care what anyone tells you, what prospects try and pull on you. Never, ever offer your services for free. Never. Okay? Get it through your brain right now. Free is worse than paid. Because if you want to get clients and you want to get your first couple of clients, it's way more compelling for you to say, I will do pay on results, than free, because no one trusts free. Free indicates that something's not really worthwhile and that you're desperate to just sign some deals. So, you can do this, depending on the strategy you've got. I know there's some irony with me making like free content and stuff like that. But specifically, like if you're trying to build like a proper product and like you're selling something high ticket, that doesn't act like a funnel to sell into like a different product, and it's not a loss leader or anything like that, Your main service, your main product, like mine is for EasyGrow, for example, should never be free, no matter what. No free trials, none of this bullshit, no free for 30 days. We have to get money up front. The second rule for risk reversal model selection, get paid up front or don't take on a client. Even if it's a small percentage. Even if your first 5 clients, they just pay $100 up front. Even if your first 2 clients, they just pay $50 up front. You have to get some skin in the game. If someone comes on board for free or they don't pay you up front, it will not work and you will not deliver them the outcome. Because they're not going to, if you're doing done for you, they're not going to give you what you need to get the job done because they don't care, because they haven't paid you anything. People only pay, they pay attention when they pay, right? And so don't do this thing for free. Don't be tempted to, by clients that say, oh, well, you want to do this for me? Well, I'll pay you when it happens. Because it's not going to happen because they're not responsible for it. You're going to start, if you're doing like a done with you offer coaching people on something and they haven't paid for it, you have no authority. They're going to waste your time. They're not going to show up to sessions. Don't bother. So now decide on your risk reversal model and write it down. So just quickly write this down. Once again, you might not be there yet because you might not know what problem you're solving. You might not even know specifically what model you're picking yet. You're going to have to do this second time around maybe. The options here, come and revisit it when you feel ready, and we'll continue. So now we've actually got the offer construction steps. So there are 8 steps to creating your offer, and the first 7 can be found in this worksheet. So let's get into it. So what we're doing here is we're basically going through this worksheet to create a statement similar to this, right? We've got a couple of lines that basically explain who we work with, what we do for them, what we get for them, how long it takes to get it, how we reverse the risk, and then obviously the method we're using, or our special sauce, way of doing it. And then we're spinning it to make it sound cool. Okay, so I'm going to give you a full guide on how to create one of these statements here. So step 1, okay, is the niche. So define the needs, wants, and desires to project a meaningful outcome. And these 7 steps are completed by just you answering questions. So what niche are you in? What problem do you solve for this niche? Remember, you won't be able to do this yet if you haven't got the problem, but you'll have it soon, I promise. Why does the niche want to solve this problem? What does the niche desire in their heart of hearts? What do members of this niche want to become? What transformations do your niche want to go through? And what gaps need bridging from your niche's current and desired situation? So ask yourself these questions, really think about them in a lot of detail, and then write down your conclusions. Who do you work with and what do they want to become? The second step is the outcome. So define the end result, the big promise that you're delivering. So the thing with the niche is, you'll notice here, for example, you've got 2 types of niche statement. You've got the standard niche, which is pretty straightforward, and then you've got the niche that wants to become something. Now, all niches want to become something, but this could be binge eaters who want to be rid of their habit. But the thing is all binge eaters would want that. So you have to pick what makes sense here. But for example, the niche here is parents who want their kids to become Ivy League educated, because not many parents want this, or at least, not many parents are willing to pay for it, right? So sometimes with the niche, it could be gym owners, or sometimes it could be gym owners who want to open a second location. And you'll know, based on your market research, what they want to become, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to include the becoming statement next to the group. Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not. It depends. Because if you consult specifically on how gym owners can open up their second location and make that as smooth as possible, then your niche becomes gym owners who want to open a second location, right? It's not just gym owners, because not all gym owners want that. So I hope that makes sense, and you should be able to conclude here who you help. So, who you help, and then what they want to become, if appropriate. Okay? And I will leave that to you to decide. Now, the next thing is the outcome. So define the end result, the promise, the thing that you're delivering. So what is the end result you're delivering? What's the best case scenario outcome of solving your niche's problem? What outcome does this niche want to see as a result of this problem being solved? Why is this outcome important to them? How does this outcome get them to the closest desired situation? So why the hell does this matter? How does this actually help them get what they want? What outcome is required for your niche to go through desired transformation? What result would make your niche jump and scream with joy? And what outcome would be groundbreakingly life-changing for your niche? And can you make it tangible or measurable? Can you put a number on it? This is not always appropriate, but if you're helping people get appointments, then you want to promise them a certain number of appointments. You know, if you say to gyms, I can help you open more locations, well, is it just one extra location or 5 extra locations? So wherever you can, try and make the offer tangible. Sometimes it's not appropriate. Sometimes it is. You're going to have to use your understanding of your niche, your problem, and your market research to fill in the blanks and make this make sense. Okay? So that's that. And you can conclude here. What's the big promise? What's the result? You know, summarizing this into one little sentence. So step 3 is time frame. So define the length of time that must elapse for you to cause a desired effect using your critical information. So once again, first time around, you're not going to know this. Second time around, you should if you've done enough research. So what's a realistic time frame for you to achieve the outcome by? Why does it take this long? And how could you make this time frame shorter? And then conclusions. How long is it going to take? You know, is it going to take 12 months, 52 weeks, 6 months, 90 days, 14 hours, 3 days, 4 months? You know, pick the time frame. Okay. Methodology. So step 4. What steps or instructions need to be followed for the outcome to be achieved? Now, once again, you're not going to know this too well, right? You're not going to know specifically what steps. Until you've been through week 3 and you've become an expert, you're not going to know how to solve the problem. But what we're trying to do here is come up with a shiny tagline that encapsulates what you do in a couple of words, right? So if you're running a done-for-you service, this is where you explain the steps you might take. If running a done with your coaching solution, then you can list the steps that you'll take. And you might have to revisit this in week 3, but for now, what are the core components of your product or service? How do these components help people achieve the outcome? List what needs to be done in full detail in order to achieve the outcome. And what are the most important causes to the effect of the outcome on this list? And what are the least important causes to the effect of the outcome on this list here? And can the least important things be removed while still achieving the outcome? And then, if they can, you know, redo your list and make it as simple as possible. So here you're trying to make a really simple list of everything that has to happen for someone to get the outcome they want and for this problem to be solved. Now, if you can't do this yet, which is fine, right? Because, you know, you're not going to be able to do this until you're an expert. What you want to do is answer the next question first, which is, can these steps be understood by a 10-year-old? Because, you know, you need to make your methodology really simple and understandable. But you're not going to be able, like I said, to do the methodology thing until you're an expert. So you can revisit it after you've become an expert. But for now, all we're doing is this. Spin your methodology to describe it in a few words. So an example of this is our 3-step Invisalign acquisition process, or our proven Ivy League preparation model, or our 5-step beating binge eating proven program, or our signature no ad spend appointment system. Once you've done your market research, you should know what buzzwords to use. You should know what's going to turn people on. You should know what's going to get people to click and buy, and you want to spin it. You want to make that methodology, you want to make those steps seem as sexy and exciting as possible, okay? So write it down when you can. Conclusion, you can write it down here. Step 5 is the model. So write down your business model below, because, you know, you'll know this pretty well once you've got your methodology and everything in place, okay? Now, step 6 is risk reversal. So you need to guarantee your methodology works to produce the outcome. It's essential. Do not try, if you don't bother trying to continue if you're not willing to guarantee something works, right? Because if you haven't got the confidence to guarantee that what you do works, then why should anyone else have the confidence to buy it? They won't, right? Sales is a transfer of conviction, and the easiest way to state conviction is through your offer. Obviously, you're not going to have a guarantee yet because you don't even know what you're doing if it's your first time, but second time you will. So do you guarantee that if someone follows your methodology, they will achieve the outcome? If no, why not? And you better have a damn good answer to justify to prospects and clients. You know, pretty damn important. I got a client, for example, and he works in the crypto coaching space, and he teaches people how to do crypto investing. And, you know, he cannot guarantee returns. Sometimes, like, he kind of explained this to me. He was like, the reason I cannot guarantee returns is it depends on whether or not we're in a bull or a bear market. So if you're in a bearish market, which means the market is trending downwards, then no one makes returns. So if we're in a bear market, then the guarantee, you can't guarantee anything. But if you're in a bullish market, you can. So he's got a conditional guarantee, I think he structured this, I'm not sure how, on depending where the market is, he will make a guarantee or not. So sometimes, like, there are genuinely things outside of your control that will stop you from being able to guarantee it. But that's going to be for maybe 1 to 1.2% of you. So how will you position your risk reversal? State it here. And don't be afraid to use any of the above if you just have a refund guarantee. It's called spin. So you can say any of these things with a refund guarantee and still close deals and get clients. It's fine. So write it here. Step 7 is to summarize. So you've got your niche And this is going to be your niche, and then potentially what they want to become, /desire/need, okay? Outcome, which is what you get them. Time frame is how long it takes. Methodology is the steps. And then obviously, we're going to put methodology spun, put it here so that you can actually list out what it is that you do in a sexy way. The model, done for you, done with you, DIY. The risk reversal, pay on results, no win, no fee, etc. And then once you've got these components, right, which is basically the niche, the outcome, the time frame, the methodology spun, the model, and the risk reversal, well, now you can write your offer below. Now, you're probably not going to include the model specifically in your offer, but sometimes you can if you want to. Like, for example, you're not going to say the words coaching or agency in your thing. So you know what, I'm actually going to remove this because it doesn't make any sense. But if you've got these things together, then, well, now we can actually start to write the offer out below, okay? And as you can see, we've got niche, niche, outcome, time frame, risk reversal, and then methodology. So I actually need to put this above this. So you can see, okay? So that's basically how we create an offer. And if you've been through these instructions and steps, then now you can write your offer below. And I'll actually just give you these examples again, because you've already seen these examples. We'll just bring them up here, okay? So like I've said many times, please don't be an idiot and just copy these. I haven't proven or tested them. They're just examples that I came up with off the top of my head. So yeah, and these examples, these 4 examples I gave you, you can sort of see here again. So we've got niche. Sometimes we've got who the niche wants to become. Then we've got the outcome, the time frame, the risk reversal, and then the spun methodology. And that's what an offer is. And so if you've done this properly, you can list these things, and you should have really 2 or 3 lines of text that should basically encapsulate what you do in a nutshell. And now you know what you're selling. Bosh. Okay. So where were we? So the last thing is pricing your offer, because now you kind of know, okay, here's what I'm going to give people in the time frame I'm going to give it. Here's how I'm going to make it look sexy and like sellable. But what should you charge? Well, before you can price your offer, you need to know 3 things. And I can't take credit for these things because it was actually Hormozi that taught me these things. I like Alex a lot, so props to Alex for helping me out with these things. So we need to know 3 things to price the offer. So these are from Hormozi's book, $100 Million Offers. Really good read. I'd recommend you read it. So first of all, we have the price to value discrepancy. So people buy products because they believe that what they are getting in value is superior to price. So what they're getting in pain alleviation is superior or better than what they paid for it. And you want to create a price to value discrepancy, meaning that what you offer, or meaning that your offer seems way more valuable than the price they are charging or you're charging for it. So if someone thinks the value is below the price after purchasing, then your business is doomed. So most businesses are below this line that you can see here, which is why they struggle so much with client acquisition. So the point here is that you have your price, and then you have the actual value of your product. And the value of your product is determined by how effective it is at alleviating people's pain and solving a problem. And if it's really effective and it does it really well, then you've got high value, which means you can charge high price. If you charge a massive price but have low value, then you're going to disappoint people and destroy your reputation, and you won't be in business anymore. But if you can charge a price that's below the perception of value, then people are going to refer people, you're going to get happy clients, you're going to have an easy grow where you get hundreds, multiple hundreds of multi-6, 7-figure students, and things get really good. And so the average product put you at the point of cancellation or below. So if you have an average product, if you're just kind of okay at what you do, then you're going to end up at this little point here, which is where people start dropping off, they start asking for refunds, they start canceling, and that's not good. So there are 2 ways to improve the discrepancy between price and value. So the first option to reduce this discrepancy, to get more people to pay and less people to drop off, is to reduce the price. And reducing price is never a good move, ever. You never want to reduce your price. Option 2 is to increase the value, which is basically just to make your product better. So price can only be reduced to 0, and charging less sucks in every way imaginable. So we don't want to try to, position ourselves well and make more deals and make more money by charging a lower price. That's just stupid. What we want to do instead is increase the value, because value can be increased to infinity. This is a race to the bottom. This is a race to infinity.
And adding value is amazing in every way imaginable. So the market will find the money to pay for your thing if it works. Like, this is what people don't seem to understand about customers and the market, is even if someone doesn't have much money, they will find the money if they're in enough pain and if you can add enough value, okay? And if you don't believe me, like, well, I've seen people who, you know, are literally like dead broke, find like $10,000 out of nowhere, whether it's from family members or credit cards or banks or random savings or, you know, begging family members to pay for things that they didn't even need. And an easy example here is, imagine you take your financial state right now, okay? And let's say that you have less than $10,000 in your bank, which might be true. And let's then say that I come to you tomorrow and I say, hello, here is a Lamborghini Urus and it's worth $250,000. I'm going to sell it to you for $30,000. So you can buy this Lamborghini Urus for 30 grand. And then once you've bought it off me, here's all the paperwork. You can resell it for 250 grand. You would find that money. Like, if I gave you like 48 hours, you'd go and find that money. You'd try and take out loans. You would find the money. You'd look under the mattress, because the value to price discrepancy is extreme. It's like, okay, here's a Lamborghini Urus for 250 grand, but I'll give it to you for 30. Well, the price is high, like 30 grand's a lot of money, right? For a car, either way. But still, it's a Lamborghini Urus. So the value is extremely high because you know that you can turn 30 grand into 250 grand. Same thing if I came to you and said, hey, here's a winning lottery ticket for $5 billion backed by the US government. I'll sell it to you for $100,000. You've got a week to find the money. God knows you're going to find that money. If you truly believe that that was actually going to happen, it was actually going to win, if it was guaranteed by like the president himself, and I've got like a selfie with the president, and I've got like the signatures of all of the big banks in America guaranteeing it, and I can give you 1,000 of the people that I've done it for, you're going to go and find 100 grand in a week. You will dance. You will not sleep until you find that money. So what you need to understand, and the point I'm making here, is that it's all about adding like value. So it's not about the price. It really isn't. It's just about, can you actually deliver on what you promise, and can you make it really good? The goal for your market when purchasing products is to buy a huge amount of value at a discount. So what people are doing when they make purchasing decisions is they're trying to get as much value as possible for as little money as possible. And they're not worried about how much they spend. This is not a concern. People don't concern themselves with how much things cost. They concern themselves with how much value they get for what they spend. It's dollars at a discount. That's all people want. So don't, like, when you're pricing your service, don't be afraid to charge high prices. But if you charge high prices, just make sure you have higher value than what you charge, right? So we have the virtuous cycle of price. Once again, this is Hormozi's idea, not mine. So most people price their products by looking at the market, seeing what their competition offers, taking the average price, charging a little bit below the average to stay competitive, and then providing a little more than their competitors, and they end up selling more for less. This is a stupid idea, right? But you don't want to do this, okay? And this is actually called the vicious cycle of price, where people like, oh, what should I charge? Oh, I know, all my competitors are charging $1,000, so I'm going to charge $920. And it's like, well, that's just kind of stupid, because what you should do is charge like $3,000 and just be like 10 times better than your competition. And then you can charge 3 times more because you're 10 times better. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this vicious cycle of price thing. Most businesses you look at suck. If you don't want to be like them, don't copy them. So this cycle repeats, and in the end, the market just goes wrong, because this cycle repeats and repeats in the market among competitors until profit margins deteriorate. This is called market efficiency, and it makes everyone go out of business or just barely stay afloat. So instead, you want to increase price. So here's a diagram from the $100 Million Offers book explaining how this works. So when you dramatically increase price, you become a market of one. So here's the thing, right? There are variables inside of your business that will determine the quality of your business, like, your clients, how much emotional investment they have, how much the perceived value of your product is, how good their results are, how high in demand your thing is, and also the revenue fulfillment per customer. So if you decrease your price, you reduce your client's emotional investment, you reduce their perceived value of your product, you reduce the results they get because they have less skin in the game, you reduce the perception of how much your product's in demand, and you reduce the revenue fulfillment per customer. But if you increase the price, then you increase the emotional fulfillment or the investment. You increase the value perception. You increase the results, the demandingness. All these things go up. If you also, in the business, right, You have your profit, your perceived value of yourself and your expertise, perception of your impact and your results, service levels, and also sales team conviction. So if you decrease your price, all of these things decrease. But if you increase your price, they all increase. And so the key to pricing in your business is to charge as much as you bloody can. Like, low prices don't mean more sales. They might do in e-commerce or drop shipping, or if you're selling stuff on Amazon, or you're selling stuff jam at a market stall on a Monday morning, then price comes into it. But in this high-ticket online space where we're selling deep solutions to complicated problems, you want to increase your price. You want to charge as much as you can, because the more you charge, the better the results get, the better the profit gets, the better you get, the better your sales team can be. Well, you won't have a sales team for a long time, right? But everything gets better when you charge more money, so you should, okay? And high prices equals high value. Price is a communication of value. And in economics, this is called Giffin's goods, or the law of price association, where if I told you that I have a car that's worth $200,000, you'd probably perceive that car to be quite valuable. In the same way that if you're shopping online and there's a t-shirt for $1,000, you'd assume that that t-shirt is made of great material. Price is a communicator of value. And people perceive more value from products if they're more expensive. And charging higher prices literally makes people believe your product is better. So increasing price actually increases the quality of your product. And this is what Hormozi did with Gym Launch. So Alex Hormozi's first business, proper business, I say proper business, but like online coaching business, was called Gym Launch. And they charged like $15,000 for their program, and everybody else charged $5,000. And when you're the most expensive, and when you're way more expensive than your competitors, it forces your market to think that this must be something different. And your price communicates a lot about your business and the value it provides. So don't be afraid to ramp your prices up. Just think, if someone's paying you more, you have more leverage to get them results. So I'd run this thought experiment. You might be thinking, I don't know how much you want to charge for your services, right? Because you might not even know yet, but eventually you'll know what the problem's worth. But one thought experiment that I like to do all the time is I like to ask myself this: if I 10x'd my price today, what would I have to do to make the product more valuable than the price? So, if I'm selling a product for $5,000, which is not my price, right? But if I was for $5,000, and I ask myself, if I wanted to make this 50 grand, what would I have to do in this product to make it more valuable than the price? And that's how you can extract insane value propositions out of your business and really improve your product and make it way better, okay? So this is just the philosophy of pricing. This is why I like the high ticket space. You want to charge as much as you can. You want to charge people high prices. You want to position yourself by charging more. Now, this obviously only works if you can actually deliver results. So I am going to tell you in a second, you're not going to be able to do this at the beginning. You're not going to be able to come out of the gate and just charge like 20 grand for a course that no one's been through, because it probably won't work, because, products are iterative, which means they get better with time. So like at the beginning, my first course was like $500, you don't have to worry about this yet, but I'm just saying, like, never decrease your price and always look for ways to increase it, because there's a lot of leverage in price. Okay. So offer pricing worksheet. So step 8 of offer construction is pricing. Okay. So we've done the 7 steps, and there's one more step, which is step 8, which is to basically use the resource below to price your service. So the number one lesson in pricing is you will only close clients on what you think your product is worth. It doesn't matter what the market will pay. It doesn't matter what your competitors charge. The only real variable that's going to impact how much you can charge is what you think your thing is worth. So if you think that, if you're thinking like, I want to charge $3,000, but you think in your heart of hearts that that's a scam and that your thing is not worth $3,000, then you're not going to be able to sell it. Your fundamental price restriction is your belief of how good the thing is. Okay. So just bear that in mind. It's impossible to sell something for higher than you think it's worth, because you're just going to think you're ripping people off and scamming people, and you're not going to make any money. This happens all the time with people who come into EasyGrow, and they're sort of like, they haven't got a good service yet, and they're like, I'm going to charge like 10 grand a month. And then they're like, I'm not making any sales. I'm like, well, why? It's like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, what are people saying on sales calls? Oh, they say it's too expensive. And then I'm like, well, is it? Like, well, yeah, it kind of is. Like, I wouldn't pay 10 grand for it. It's like, well, no one's going to buy it if you think it's too expensive, right? So hint, if you're offering monthly done for you or done with you services, I would try to avoid dipping below $1,000. But at the beginning, you might have to. First couple of clients, don't be afraid to take a couple of $100, right? And if you're offering a DIY high ticket course, do not sell it for less than 3K. So generally speaking, you don't want to go less than 1K a month if you're retaining people, and you don't want to go below 3K in one payment if you're teaching people. Now, once again, this is so subjective to you and depends on your experience and what you think you can charge. If you think that 1K a month for your done for you service is too much, you're not going to sell it. It just won't sell. But I would entertain the idea of trying to imagine that people would pay it, because, you know, you can get away with this. And it's not like something you get away with in terms of like a Machiavellian scam, you know, but you can really charge thousands of dollars and people will truly, honestly pay it. And trust me, all it takes is one person to pay it and you'll be like, what the hell? My first ever marketing client was £1,000 a month. Best feeling ever. So you might need to close some clients on a lower price point to get comfortable charging thousands. It depends on how much confidence you have in your service or product and how much you think it's worth. So we've got this little Venn diagram here. So really there's two things that will determine what you should charge. The first is what someone's willing to pay. And the second thing is what you think it's worth. And almost always people are willing to pay more than what you think it's worth. And I know this to be true because I've increased the price of my product, of EasyGrow, for example, like 10 times. And not once has the conversion rate ever decreased. If anything, it sometimes goes up. So you always want to find out what people are willing to pay and then what you think is worth, and that's where you're going to charge. But the only way you're going to charge more is if you think it's worth more. And the only way you're going to think it's worth more is if you get better at what you do. And so you can see how everything is born out of the product. So here's a worksheet to price your offer. It's really straightforward. There's once again some questions for you to sort of run through here. So what is your competition charging for a similar outcome? And what is the outcome you're promising worth to someone? And what will they be willing to pay for it? And at what point do you think that the price exceeds the value of what you're doing? Which is obviously bad. You know, and what do you think the outcome is worth in monetary terms? So, you know, pretty important thing to ask. What are you going to charge? And just put it down. And you won't know this yet, but once again, once you found the problem, you will. You'll have a price in mind. You'll have this arbitrary kind of idea as to what you think is fair. And that's what you need to start with. But you need to make it your mission to try to increase your price every couple of months by getting better at what you do and thinking it's worth more, because you do not want to get trapped charging hundreds of dollars a month because you're not going to make any money. It's too hard to get. It's just as easy to get someone to buy something for like $5,000 as it is $500. Trust me. I promise it is. I know that sounds hard to be true, but it is. So if you 2x your price, what would you need to do, to add the value to your product to justify it? And then the same question, just another little thought experiment. If you 5x your price, what value would you need to add to justify the price increase? And if you 10x your price, what value would you need to add to justify it? So these questions are basically here to answer the problem of you increasing your price. Like, if you want to increase your price, you need to increase the value of a product. So if you want to make more money, the biggest leverage is just increasing the price. Because, if you have a product for $1,000 and you sell 10 and you can get 10 people to buy it for $2,000 instead, you've just doubled your business by one decision. But the only way you can do that is by thinking it's worth it and by basically adding more value, right? So it's all about how much value you add. So if you're unsure as to whether or not your newfound methodology will actually achieve the outcome, once you've done your research and become an expert, then you just want to make sure that your pricing structure or guarantee structure isn't structured so you enter the red zone. It's really important for me to tell you this, that I want it to be the case that the worst case scenario of you not getting results for someone is them getting back their money. Don't have some crazy, wacky offer that puts you in the red just because I might, for example, until you know that your thing works. Okay? So that's basically how to price. It's pretty straightforward. You want to work on increasing your price and charging as much as you think you can. You want to meet this at its peak. Like, you want to find out what the market's willing to pay and get there as fast as you can. But you can only do that for as long as you think what you have is worth that price. And so you need to increase the value of the product. So you increase what you think is worth, and then the market will be happy to pay for it. So in summary, here's what we've covered. Create as if you are. So creating this offer as if you already are someone that can deliver on it. Because if you don't, then you're kind of screwed. Explaining offers. So we've gone through the actual offer structure and, really kind of like, basically what is an offer and what's its role. We talked about the power. So why offer has so much leverage, the mistakes and what to avoid. You might want to reread them. We went through the structure. We visualized it with that diagram. We talked about the business models again. We got into the risk reversal model that you can pick and basically the refund guarantee and how to position that. We went through the 7 steps to construct the offer, the pricing, the thing, and then obviously the actual worksheet itself to price the offer. So that's basically everything that you need to know for now about building offers. It does go deeper than this. And, there are more things you can know in the future if you want to get to 7 figures, for example. And those are things that we have in the offer video in Easy Grow, which is a bit beefier than this one. But this gives you the basics. This gives you enough to get to 10K a month and get those first few clients under your belt. But if you want to build a massive scalable machine, then you need to know more about offers and pricing and leverage. But that can come later, even when you decide that Easy Grow is the fit for you. So that's everything. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.